video. Video is recording. We're already streaming. Audio is now recording. Here it comes, Mother Scratchers. In 3, 2, 1.
Open a gateway.
Oh, wait, I got to do a thing before I play that.
And the show starts. Oh, wait, I got to do this.
I forgot I got these reads now. Okay, so here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Play Retro is brought to you in part by our listeners at patreon.com/playretro. People like DP, Michael Burrier, and Les Orchard. Get the ad-free experience with a whole lot more today at patreon.com/playretro.
Open a gateway to a world where orcs and humans battle over land, sea, and air for the dominance of Azeroth. 6 years have passed since the first war between man and orc. Warcraft II Tides of Darkness, available now from Blizzard Entertainment.
Oh, man.
Oh, Blizzard Entertainment.
They hired the guy up the hallway to do the VO on that thing.
Yeah, they did.
Hey everybody, welcome to Play Retro. I am Scott Johnson, one of your hosts, and I have all the gold and oil that I need to destroy all the humans in one big Zerg rush. Wait a minute, what's a Zerg rush? Oh, right, that turn comes later down the road. For now, just tell me job's done and get the hell out of my way. I have a horde to manage.
Job's done.
Yeah.
And I'm your other host, Brian Dunaway, your command master, Loktar. I will gather the resources. Glook, I will build the pig farms. What? Yes, I will walk 5,000 pixels to explore the map through the fog of war. Daboo? No, I will not pick up this sheep that you just exploded with your fidgety god hand. Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Stop poking me. Okay, fine, stupid god hand.
Stupid god hand. Hate that
stupid god hand clicking on stuff.
That sounds eerily close to being something about Warcraft. Good news. We have Warcraft to talk about. All the stuff before World of Warcraft, okay? We're not going MMO today. We're going way back. Orcs versus Humans. Tides of Darkness. 1, 2, and 3. A little bit of talk about 3. All right?
Not a lot of talk about 3 because it's kind of too modern, right?
Well,
I even kind of poke-jabbed at
it. It's 03, but it's we do.
The problem is that they have the Reforge edition, so they still update this thing.
Well, the new version sucks. It's bad.
Oh, yes, agreed. Oh, we should definitely talk about that's the part I want to talk about when we talk about Warcraft 3. I want to talk about the classic mode and the modern mode and how they screwed everything
They
up.
effed it up. They should have just let people play classic. It's so dumb.
They should have just got over it.
But we'll get all to that in a minute. Before we do that, though, I found the weirdest thing. Oh, and I forgot to. Well, I wanted to show it.
Well,
right.
I'm thinking just.
I don't know where it is, but I found a broken PlayStation 1 memory card out in a field near me while I was walking the dog.
Uh-oh. You know about cyber attacks, right? You got to be careful with it.
Yeah, you want to not plug that thing into anything, but
right, that's social engineering. You throw a PS1 memory card out in a field somewhere near a gamer.
Yeah,
and
great
he picks
idea.
that up and he takes it back in.
Plugs it in before you know it. He's rootkitted his PlayStation and has porn, Japanese porn.
That is some sneaker hacker crap right there. That's when you wear your sneakers and you don't even just this. What's it called? The sneaker land. Is that what it's called? A sneaker network. Sneaker.
That is right. Sneaker network.
Yeah, it's called Sneaker Network. That's what they do because you would carry the product like on a disc or something, or in this case a memory card. From one place to the other.
Yeah, but this is stupid because it's like 128K. All right, that's how big the storage is on this thing. No one has PS1s hooked up to anything anymore. So if they were trying to do anything, this would be a terrible way to do it.
What if you're runing your utilities infrastructure on a PlayStation 1?
You what if you are? Yeah, does that happen? Are there any municipal water systems?
Wasn't that how that worked in what was it, Iran? Where was it at? Where they plugged in a USB and they almost
USB
did all kinds of crazy crap.
Yeah, but USB makes sense, right? Because everything's you got modern equipment hooked up to a USB.
I don't know what they run in Iran,
but nobody's running a 1996 model PS1 as anything. But I didn't plug it in anyway. All I did was grab it. But it's just a little gray. It looks aftermarket, meaning not the Sony branded one.
Oh, really? That's a bold choice. Usually the aftermarket ones aren't gray unless it doesn't have any label at all. Period.
Yeah, it had a label with some scribble on it. So whoever wrote on it, I don't know who, but it wasn't the gray. Because I have some other ones that I've kept for my PS1. They are different. than this.
Yeah.
But I saw
how did
that.
you know it was broken? Did you plug it in your PS1?
Oh, I don't know if it's broken or not, but it's just I'm not plugging that in. What if it's malware from my PS1?
Well played, sir. What if it deletes all my saves?
If I've learned anything from you today, it's that I shouldn't plug that in. But yeah, I wonder what saves are on there. It's probably like I don't know, Twisted Metal or something.
Some Twisted Metal.
Could be Croc.
What else
Could
is on
be
there?
Gex.
Maybe some. Yeah.
Could be. That's a hint, by the way. Gex. We'll talk more about that later.
A little taste.
But that was about as much as I got up to. Other than I played a ton of stuff. I've been getting deeper in. Well, my go-to right now when I just need to bang something out real quick is that the wrong way to say that? Probably a wrong phrase.
Right.
Is to play Pokemon Pinball, GBA Pokemon Pinball on my Amberneck.
Oh,
I love that.
Nice.
Love it.
That's a great thing. That thing is a great. We talked a little about this pre-show. That's a great format for pinball, in my opinion, because it's got the little flippers at the top. If that's the way it's designed, some of them weren't. Sometimes you have the outside. The way it's mapped on it, it'll be the outside button. So usually it's like the left on the D-pad, and then like the B button or whatever it is.
Yeah, some people think you should use the shoulder pads, but I disagree.
Right.
I actually think it's great. You use left on the D-pad, you use B or I guess A on the button pad, and then it works great. And I'll play this I'll sit out on the porch. It's like hot out, but it's night, getting dusk or whatever. And I will play Pokemon Pinball until I catch at least like 2 or 3 new Pokemon.
Give me your best impression of the noises that the Pokemon Pinball makes.
Beep, burp, beep.
Is there any? Is the theme song play, or you get to catch them all, or anything like that?
There's a whole thing. Let's see. I bet I have some right here I could play.
It's like a ding, 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 ding kind of thing like that.
How about this? Here we go.
It's full of...
That's an evolution. Let me skip ahead some. Here we go.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, they just caught a Pokemon.
Oh, you caught Pokemon.
Yep. And then the ball lands and then goes. Ear, 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 ear.
Beep, 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 beep. Oh.
Yeah, it's a great game, dude.
And now I want to play it.
Oh, it's
I'm
so
watching
good.
the video, but the audio is just so tasty.
It's in my opinion far beyond I mean, this is gonna be someone's gonna be mad I say this, but I like this more than any Pokemon game ever made.
Let them be mad. Let them be mad. I don't think anyone's gonna be
it.
mad about you liking the pinball Pokemon. I think
people
fun.
get weird though. You never know.
Yeah.
What'd you get up to this week in retro?
Oh, hi. Yeah, I went to the Southeast Game Exchange this past weekend in Greenville, South Carolina, just a little up the road from me. And I was blown away. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go up to this thing. And I looked at the little brochure before I went, and I was like, okay, it's got some different gamers there. They're gonna have some wrestlers there. They're gonna have some, they're gonna have a little bit of cosplay contests. They're gonna, play some Mario competitions and stuff. I'm like, oh, that's cool. They'll probably have a lot of newer stores and stuff up in there. And I got there, and oh my Jesus, I've never seen so much retro equipment in one place. It was overwhelming. I did not plan well. It was a 2-day event. I only allocated like a few hours because I kind of knew what I wanted to get.
Yeah.
And only allocated a few hours because I like I said, I figured it was just gonna be like kind of sparse, and there'd be like a couple of tables. Because I've been to some of these other conventions up there before, and usually there's like a few retro stands and stuff. This was nothing but wall to wall retro places. It would take 2 hours just to walk through half of what's going on. That's not even looking good. That's just running through.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe the depth. I mean, just old stuff that I hadn't seen in forever. Now, it only went back, most of the stuff only went back, anything from the 8-bit on forward, plenty of stuff there.
Sorry, that was audio. That's audio from a video that's supposed to be a video of this place. I'm trying to see if we catch a glimpse of you walking
Oh my
around.
gosh, it was insane. It was just so many people there, so many young people too. I thought I was gonna be there with like a bunch of Merlin looking mother humpers. I thought it was gonna be a whole bunch of guys with beards and stuff.
Merlin looking mother humpers.
Oh yeah. Oh, I went to that table. That table you're right there. Yeah. That is that Game Cache? That may be Game Cache's. Was that Game Cache right there?
Know.
That's where I bought my ticket.
Sign.
That's the guys in Anderson. Yeah. I think that.
Why is there there was a copy of Ristar for the Genesis that was $259?
Okay, so that's new in box. That was not representational of all the things there. There were tons of things there that were just like me and you. Like I don't collect games. I buy them so I can play them and live them for the first time. That's how this was. There's a lot of stuff there with just like carts just thrown in bins and you just kind of dig through stuff. And then there's some stuff that was in boxes and that was expensive, and practically graded and everything else. I didn't really look at that stuff. But 8-bit generation and later didn't have a lot of like PC stuff, but console stuff, oh my God. If you were looking for anything, you were going to find it 10 times over. You got some GameCube games there, PlayStation 2
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, there's a ton of stuff. What's with all, I hate all the pop toys at these cons.
There wasn't that actually that many. That's what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be, like just a ton of just pop vinyl stuff. There was only a few pop vinyl things out there. And I did remember when I talked last week about Banjo-Kazooie, and I'm like, I never see anything for Banjo-Kazooie. I saw stuff for Banjo-Kazooie while I was here.
Yeah.
I saw this. I sent it to you, the Gruntilda display box thing. I sent you that little picture earlier this week.
Right.
And man, I was blown away. Now, this is what I picked up, and I'll show you on my screen here in a second.
See what you got.
I looked at that links too, by the way. That's that links.
Yeah.
That table they just passed by had some of the older things. There was only a couple of things that like had really old stuff. There was some Magic cards there too, but definitely not the majority. Most of it was retro stuff.
Yeah.
This is what I picked up. This is the Sega Master System. This is the very first one, this console system that I had. You've probably heard me talk about my dad bringing home that Atari Pong back during the 70s. That was his console. This was the first one that I owned. He actually purchased this because he was big into flight simulators, and they had F-16 something action fighter, which I ordered, by the way. It's a card. But I picked this up, got Altered Beast and Ghostbusters. Look at this thing. It's really good shape.
Yeah, it looks awesome. Looks clean.
Yeah, this is your NES equivalent on the Sega side before we get into the Sega Genesis. What were you saying?
What's the business cost for the slightly used, decent shape version?
I didn't think this was too bad. This is what I got this from Trey at Game Cash and from Anderson. I shop that guy from time to time.
Yeah.
He was there. And I went with the specifically in my head to either get this or TurboGrafx 16. I found this. It was $150. Came with a controller.
Not bad.
Came with a light gun.
Yep.
You came with all the cables. Really good shape.
Did it come with 2 games? Or you had to buy the games?
I bought the 2 games.
Okay.
I think. Or no, did it come with the? No, I bought the 2 games.
Okay.
I bought the 2 games, Ultra Beast and Ghostbusters. I ordered 3 more games off at eBay, but I'm gonna be doing some retrospective stuff of looking and hopefully give you some content for that for what are we calling our
the play retro blips. Yeah, they're blips.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be making some more of those, but I'm very excited about that thing. This is, like I said, this is the final piece. This is the final big piece for my Sega collection.
I look at this picture. Let me tell you what I hear. I hear the console go, "I'm cool and I'm classic," and then I hear the Steam Deck back there go, "Use me more." And then I hear the PlayStation 5.
The Steam Deck is back there.
I hear the PlayStation 5 controller going.
You see where my priorities are, right?
Absolutely. And you know what's the most embarrassing thing is the guy up front is a Steam controller going, "Hey, I suck." That's what he's saying.
Yeah, I think got the Steam controller up here too. I took when I got this home, I went shove and pushed all my Steam Deck, all the controllers back, and I said,
"There's more."
Baby.
You know what's funny? There's about probably 400 or 1,000 Master Systems worth of technology just in that Steam Deck behind it.
Probably just in the Steam Deck, probably in this controller D-pad is probably as much technology as in this.
I love it, dude.
This Master System. But man, you don't know how excited I was to get one of these. He had one in the box for $250. And I was like, what's the deal with the box? He's like, oh, it comes in the box. I'm like, and what else? He's like,
what's the value of that?
And I'm like, so $100 for the box. I said, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, if you were just going to keep that in a box and then, I don't know, display it or something, fine. But you're more of a hands-on, let's open it up, let's dick around kind of guy.
Let's play with this thing.
Yeah.
I want to play with it. I'm like from the Toy Story generation where it's like Toy Story 2. I'm like, don't put this thing in a freaking box. Let's get this thing out and play with it and love it until it dies.
Oh, not Toy Story 3 or 4, not those.
No, 3 or 4 suck. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Just 3. But that's another episode. That's another show.
That's a whole other show.
Yeah. But yeah, the getting complete stuff in box, not really important to me. If it happens to be the price is similar for that, I'm cool with that. Oh, one more thing I did want to show you. Just, my God, I always forget how much I hate Sega's Master System
Art?
boxes.
Oh, I
And boy,
hate
if you, yeah, because it has that grid thing. And boy, if you go online, when I was doing searches for buying more games and stuff, oh, the discussions people have
Yeah.
about the sparseness of this, because Atari and Nintendo were like making these box arts that were just amazing. I think this Altered Beast was probably copied and pasted from the Japanese version, and they just like threw it on that little thing. You're usually very sparse. It's
Yeah.
interesting to see.
Very weird.
Arcade.
What's that racing game? You have it, I think, because you sent a picture of it.
Right.
Outrun? Is it Outrun? Might be Outrun.
Outrun, yes.
Outrun is the most
yeah.
basic ass art on the front of that thing.
Yeah, it really does. It's just a little car. It's lame looking.
get it.
I kind of like it.
I don't get it. I don't like it. Not a fan.
No.
Well, anyway, that's awesome. You had a good weekend.
Thank y'all for listening to me drone on about my Sega Master System. It is just, it's one of those pieces. It's my first experience with a console.
Oh, you got some nostalgia going for that.
I ordered Shinobi. That was my game that I played. That was the one and only game I had when I first got it. And
How does
I played
Shinobi
so much
hold up?
Shinobi.
I wonder if it's any good now.
I think it's still going to be good.
Yeah.
I think it's still going to be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe you. I do.
We'll see.
I think Shinobi 3 for the Genesis is still okay, but not as good as I used to think it was. You know?
I didn't know that is it Wonder Boy in Shinobi World? Like, I asked Twitter, I asked the community, all the gaming community. I asked them what were the things I need to have, and they gave me about 30 titles that I need to have for this system.
Wonder Boy's awesome. Nothing wrong
Wonder
with
Boy in Shinobi World or something. Wonder Boy in World of Shinobi or something weird. I was like, what is that?
Yeah. Dude, all the Wonder Boy games are great. I love them all.
Yeah,
Those are all
that's on my list. I got it all. I put a big old list on price charting. I got about 3 of the games already that I wanted to get.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to keep kind of working. I don't want a big collection. God, I don't want a big collection.
No, you want to have a
Speaking of
nice. I understand what you're saying. That's hard to do because your taste will change or whatever. But I get it. You want to have a nice, concise collection.
Right. One last thing.
Meaningful collection.
Right.
Yeah.
One last thing.
What's that?
I picked up 3 more CRTs.
Holy shit! 3 more.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take everything back I just said about you having a concise collection. So how many CRTs is that now? Like 5? 4?
6.
6
total. Six total. But 2 of them were, like 19-inch, and one of them had like a VCR in it. And I'm really struggling not to go get me a VHS collection. I don't need a VHS.
No,
collection.
you don't, dude. You do not need a VHS.
There's
collection.
absolutely no reason for it. It's like one of the worst ways you can watch videos. But I watched. I had one videotape. I had one. It was like some Disney Classics collection where it's like Lambert the Sheepish Lion and the Whale Guy. What is the operatic whale or whatever? And then Ferdinand.
Yeah, I remember all that.
Jesus.
And look, it's your childhood, man. I understand.
But I needed it because I got the Genesis light gun, and I needed something that was going to be a little bit smaller that I could play with.
No,
and
I
the
understand.
other 2 just came with it. I couldn't help it.
I understand. Now you have enough. If you stacked them all together, they could have their own reality show on the TLC network. That's how big these monitors are. That's how much they weigh. That's a deep cut.
I'm going to stack them all.
That's a deep
I'm
cut.
going to stack them all and stand in front of them.
You should do it. Ooh, it'd be like Blade Runner-y looking with all them stacked up like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
cool.
I
love that.
I like that. All right. Well done. We're going to dive into this week's discussion, which is very non-console related, it turns out. So PC people get excited. We're doing this.
Shall we play a game?
We shall. And the game we're going to play is a game called Warcraft Orcs and Humans. That's where we're going to start anyway. This is 1994. This kickstarts what would end up being one of the most, if not the most, valuable franchise in PC history.
PC?
I mean, it's single-handedly responsible for turning Blizzard into a very small, group of programmers in 1994 to the juggernaut with thousands of employees that they are now, raking in hundreds of millions of dollars a day.
And you wouldn't believe what it impact those, the Warcraft 1 and 2, the people who are developing those. You wouldn't believe how much they've done in the industry overall. It's just like every one of them is like, oh my God.
No, it's
they
huge.
Did this. They founded that. Oh my God.
No, it's huge. It's just, it's as big as you can get. And it's also a good reminder that, say what you want about modern Blizzard and kind of some of their problems they've had recently and that sort of thing. This is a pivot point for them, which is hilarious because they were supposed to be making a Warhammer game. They were contracted to make that. And we'll get into the details of what happened. But before we do any of that, I'm going to play a little video for the folks at home, which looks like shit all these years later. And we're going to play a little sound. Here's the intro.
In the Age of Chaos, two factions battled for dominance. The kingdom of Azeroth was a prosperous one. The humans who dwelled there turned the land into a paradise. The Knights of Stormwind and the clerics of Norsha Abbey roamed far and wide, serving the king's people with honor and justice. The well-trained armies.
So you get the idea. It's just like a lot of bad English accent. Guy up the hall recorded it. No one had any money then. Blizzard was a very small company. They'd mostly done, Lost Vikings and freaking rock and roll racing and some console stuff mostly.
They were doing stuff for the SNES, and they developed this thing in-house. So they were spending their own money, which they did not have a lot of.
Nope.
At the time.
They're very
This is the Blizzard we
thing.
loved, right? Don't just remember this. If you're like, oh God, I hate Blizzard, that's fine. This is not that Blizzard. This is this Blizzard.
No, this is the Blizzard
loved.
you loved. This is the Blizzard that had they been able to somehow, I don't know how you do it with the amount of money they started making. I mean, they were printing money by 2004.
Right.
If they were somehow able to, within that 10-year span, figure out a way to culturally lock in and not change, or not let that money create the kinds of problems that they've run into lately.
Mo money, mo
It'd
problems.
be a very different thing. Now, that being said, they're worth billions, and there's a reason Microsoft wants to buy them and Activision and everybody else. And looks like they're about to. But these games were at their core an answer to what Westwood Studios was doing with Command and Conquer. And Command and Conquer was very, very popular with PC players, and but very modern, right? Tanks and infantrymen and all that. Along comes Warcraft and says, "Hey, yo, what about fantasy? We're all about the fantasy. Let's have Orcs and Humans. Woo! Let's go." And it was a monster hit, even though I would say it's a monster hit in certain like PC circles. Monster hit.
Right. And that's the right way to say it. Westwood did Dune 2, and nobody had really published anything before. But there was stuff being worked on. But Blizzard got together and said, "Let's do this thing." We love Dune 2.
Yep.
Some of the developers were heavy into it, playing it all the time. Patrick Wyatt, lead programmer.
Yep.
He had a great interview over on his blog site. Have you been to his blog site?
I have not seen his blog site.
I haven't said blog site in forever.
Is that how we say it? I think we just say his blog, right?
His blog. Excuse me. I've forgotten.
His
It's been
blog
so
site.
long. I've forgotten how to do it. Codeofhonor.com.
Code of Honor.
And
Right.
he outlines the background of everything leading up to this and the development, and it was totally eye-opening what they did with how they were inspired by Dune 2 and the Warhammer 40,000. 40,000.
Yeah.
I was reading it. But yeah, they were just doing.
Well, they were
was just
originally
such
supposed
a-
to make a straight up Warhammer, like fantasy Warhammer, not the 40K, but the
Right.
regular old thing. And you could argue after that deal fell apart, that Warcraft, I hate to say this because it's they've done really well for themselves, but they kind of stole it. They stole the style of Warhammer. They just kind of tweaked it a bunch. StarCraft's not that different. They stole kind of the 40K vibe. Tyranids and Zerg are almost identical.
Yeah.
The way that Space Marines and StarCraft Marines look with their big shoulder pads and all that shit is very similar. So they were clearly inspired by the source material. And Warcraft is basically their take on Warhammer, for good or for real.
Yeah. Art style wise, absolutely. And the Dune 2, which I played a little bit this past week because I wanted to check it out. Boy, that's not good. No, I'm just kidding. It's actually pretty neat.
It's all right for its time. It's aged poorly, I think.
Yeah, and that's what I heard a lot of this past week when I was doing my research. It's like, I even asked on Twitter. I said, "Hey, who played which ones?" And nobody played just Warcraft 1. Most people don't even want to play it. It's like, nah, it's just too tedious because we're getting this real time strategy. We can multi-select our troops, our peons. I always play orcs, so I'm going to say peons and grunts because I'm an orc guy. or I'm like, I'm a horde.
I'm a horde guy too.
Forever.
I like horde.
I'm a horde.
Yeah.
Nothing
Horde guy.
wrong with the other side. I'm just saying that's why.
No, there is. They all suck, but go ahead.
But anyway, you can multi-select characters and move around, but you only can do 4 at a time. And I thought I was like, oh, that makes sense. This is early on. I played this on DOS, by the way.
Oh, you did actual DOS on this?
Oh, I did actual DOS. You can get this on good old games for like $5, but don't listen to any of the haters on there. But you can get it that way.
Yeah.
And I played it that way, and it had some DOS experiences. I had to edit some bad files.
Yeah. Did you have to do a memory allocation script before you ran?
I did have to choose whether I was going to use high mem or not. I had a couple of choices I had to make. Good thing I'm well versed in most of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed my time. It played a lot slower than I thought it would, and there's so much micromanaging. It's really tough. It's neat to experience.
Yeah.
But it's not like you're going to go, yeah, this is the experience I've been jonesing for.
No, this is a primordial Warcraft experience. Warcraft II, Tides of Darkness, and its follow-up.
You got to build stuff on roads.
Yeah.
What the hell were they thinking?
Yeah, that's a bad combo.
Base building, RTS, you got to do some base building. You got to do lots of resource management and collecting. Then you got to explore. And through the exploration, you expand, and you have to fight because you're trying to fight for land and stuff.
Yeah.
And man, that was tough when you can only get 4 grunts to agree to go with you to take on the enemy. And then you had to micromanage, and they're terrible. The AI was terrible then. It's not like you think now, whereas you can just kind of go, okay, if they get attacked, they're going to attack back.
Yeah.
So don't have to worry about these guys too much. No, these fools just stand there.
Yeah.
So you have to go find them and go, hey, and it's not like, where it's going to alert you and let you. Well, they do sometimes. They will say, when they first spot it, they'll say, what is it like? The humans are coming. It sounds like Stallone to me. There's like a cross between Muppets and Stallone in the orc stuff.
Yeah. But it was early on a good example of, let's see if I can get some of these units to make some sounds.
You gotta build the farms. Most of the scenarios are build farms.
There he goes. Yeah, you're not wrong about the way they kind of come off. But it would soon get better. All right.
Well, all I gotta do here is so simple. All I gotta do is collect some gold, collect some lumber, build you some barracks, attack the enemy.
Yeah.
You're the invading horde. You're from oh my God, Scott, please tell me all the Warcraft lore. I'm gonna have to really depend on you. I had no time.
Well, a lot of that is not established in Warcraft 1.
This is what the movie was based on, right? The first one?
Warcraft, no,
because
it's kind of retro, or it's kind of retrofitted. No, what's the word?
Retconned.
Yeah, very heavily retconned. If you want to know the real lore behind what Warcraft is today, you go to Warcraft 3. Orcs and Humans.
Right. I don't care about that. I'm talking about
all of that. What I'm saying is all of that. There is one had no lore. All right, it was just orcs and humans fighting each other. That's really it. There's
they
not
hadn't
much
even written
else.
the book yet, right? They had not even written the book yet.
No, none of that stuff was done. Warcraft 2 came around. There was a little bit more, but remember in Warcraft 2, even, I mean, other than you had access to units that happened to be dwarves, or you might have a unit that was a goblin or whatever. They didn't go deep into any of that stuff. Warcraft 3 comes around and they're like, all right, we don't just have humans and orcs. We've got undead. We have night elves. We have this enormous story.
Right.
That's where that comes from. When people think of Warcraft lore.
So no Thrall in the first one. Then.
No, not even close.
Just Azeroth and some orcs that
no Thrall in 2. There's no Thrall in 2 either. There's no Duratan. Like all of that stuff is not on the whiteboard yet.
You keep saying words that I don't understand. So
but 3 comes around and it's like, no, now we're doing all this shit. We're gonna go deep. We're gonna hire multiple writers. We got Metzen. We got these people that are really passionate about creating new characters. That's where that stuff starts. Everything prior to that was gameplay and overarching themes that we're familiar with, but nothing that was like, ooh. Right. And like nobody goes, they don't ever have moments in World of Warcraft. No, I shouldn't say never, but they don't have moments where it's like, I remember this place from Warcraft 1. There's none of that.
Are you sure?
There's some, but there's not any significant.
I'm pretty sure there's
it's
somebody
just
online
not
right
significant.
Now,
it's like Azeroth. Okay, they're in Azeroth. They don't really get into the idea that the orcs are from another planet, but they are.
Yeah, nobody can give shit to Marvel or DC for all of their multiverse stuff if they don't give Warcraft some shit for their multi-plane, multi-planet, multi-dimensional whatever they're doing, because the orcs come in from fooled by the burning legion to come here to fight and attack because they're being
Yeah, but again,
ran
most of
out
that is fleshed out in 3. 1 and 2
Okay.
barely touch on any of it. It's just like it's all throwaway stuff to say why are the green guys fighting these other guys.
You're right,
Like-
because my appeal to this game, I had never played any of. Okay, so I had said last week, I think I said all I've ever played is Warcraft 3. I think is what I said. I think I said that continuously. I found today that my memory is very flawed. I had played Warcraft 1 or 2 because I remember the visuals. When I got to 3, I'm like, 3D, that's definitely not what I had played. And so I either played 1 or 2 of these, and I remember absolutely nothing about them other than I loved how colorful it was. One of the most colorful real-time strategy games when everybody else was doing these, dirt terrains. This thing was beautiful and colorful. And I found out in that article I was telling you about, that codeofhonor.com, the blog, the president at the time of Blizzard would go through the building while the programmers and graphic artists were doing stuff, and he'd turn all the lights on and open up the window blinds and bring in the bright sunlight. And he said, this is how people game. They're going to be gaming in daylight. If you can't see it in the daylight, then forget it. And so
Brighton, you're talking about Mike Morheim told everybody this?
it was a Mike knows. I think it was, let me see. Wait. Here's it.
Because there were 3 dudes. There was
behest of Alan
Adham. Okay.
Yeah. Adham. Who charged all the artists with drawing artwork in bright conditions. He'd regularly stalk the halls of Blizzard, turning on lights and opening window blinds.
Right.
And so the lights were always on in the art room. This is from the article, to force artists to compensate for terrible lighting by creating art that accounted for those conditions.
Yeah.
Those were conditions. Yeah. They weren't happy about that, but they did anyway, and it really stood out.
Real quick to just clarify something. So the second war, it's called,
Right.
in 2 is what the movie is sort of very loosely based on. Okay, you have you have characters you recognize like Gul'dan and Anduin Lothar, who's king of the humans basically at the time, and all of that stuff. But it is heavily retconned,
Right.
And yes, you do have things like, I don't know, Blackrock Spire shows up. That's in 2. That shows up as it's a dungeon in World of Warcraft, right? So there are connections. I don't want to make it sound like they just dumped these ideas. But if anyone
don't send me any emails.
Yeah. But if anyone thinks this stuff is like dead perfect where it started and where it ended and it's always been that way, I have really, really bad news for you. It's not like that.
Everything that I read historically appears, and if you don't know this about Blizzard, then I can't help you, but they are constantly rewriting what happened. It is almost like a multiverse in the way that even like the first ending in Warcraft, if you play the scenarios completely all the way through, the humans lose, right? Wait, let me think. No, the humans win, I think, proper in Warcraft 1 in the scenarios.
Correct.
But when you get to the second one, no, they said that the orcs won. And so, and they kind of move from there. So yeah, there's always a shifting, but that's fine because Blizzard at this time, they were doing everything by the seat of their pants. They didn't write stuff down.
No, they were hauling ass. They didn't have this. The story focus wasn't what was important. Gameplay was what mattered the most. And they went from a release in November of '94. Mm-hmm. Guess when freaking Warcraft II: Tides of Darkness came out?
2005.
The very next year, less than a year later. They got a sequel, and a year after that, they have another expansion to that. Not even a year. Like they were hauling cheeks, man.
Hauling cheeks. I haven't heard you say that one.
Yeah,
I'm adding that one.
And they were selling a lot of copies. I mean, comparatively to what people were selling PC games for at the time, it was a big deal.
Right.
So 2 in particular was like, I can't even express what a massive hit 2 was. 2 was huge. 2 put it on the map. Fun. 2 made it possible for. Almost we have Diablo between, and we have Diablo 1 comes out in 96. 2000 was Diablo 2.
Right.
And then in earnest work started on Warcraft 3 at this, and during early production of Warcraft 3, World of Warcraft was also conceived and was developed in tandem with Warcraft
Right.
3, which is why that story was
you could tell.
that story was so important because they were about
Like
to
at the
roll right
once
in.
you get to the Frozen Throne and get to the bonus stuff, you're pretty much looking at a top-down 3DS version of a 3D version.
3DS
of
version. Yeah.
I was trying to say 3D RTS. Yeah. So anyway, a top-down 3D version of World of Warcraft. Right?
Yeah,
Because
like
that's
in
near the
even
end.
World of Warcraft's initial engine was a modified version of the Warcraft 3 engine. So
Right.
there was a lot of sharing of resources and all that crap.
But you
then,
didn't mention what happened between 96 and 98. We'll have to talk about that later. Something just they weren't doing anything between 96 and 98.
No, they had other stuff. They did. Dude, Diablo 1 came out in 96. That was a big deal. That was a big. That was a
But what
Blizzard
about
thing.
Warcraft? I mean, there was a whole big old gap between the two. We haven't even talked about 2 yet. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. I
Yeah,
apologize.
we haven't talked about 2. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Here comes some sound from 2.
The once mighty army of Azeroth lay among the blackened and charred remains of Stormwind Keep. Those that escaped fled across the Great Sea, bringing tales of the suffering they had faced at the hands of the Orcish hordes.
Underway.
Aye, Captain.
Aye, aye, sir.
Listen to this.
Aye, Captain.
Aye, aye, sir.
Underway.
Aye,
Underway.
Captain.
There's a lot of talk over when you're clicking on a bunch of dudes. They weren't very good
Yeah,
at that yet.
they leaned into it because this is moving a lot faster. And of course, if you've played any RTSs, once you get to the Warcraft 2 or you played Age of Empire, pretty much anything, when you start, every unit you select is going to say something, right? It's going
Right.
to respond, and boy, it gets spammy. It gets super spammy.
Yeah, which is
If you
why
don't
they
like
added
that-
the jokey stuff. You click on them long enough,
Yeah.
they say something funny. This kind of established that as the new norm for them. They did it in StarCraft. They do it in World of Warcraft. They do it in everything. Really.
Yeah, they did in the first one too, because I actually preferred the one-liners that they had in the first one a little bit better. I kind of like, stop touching me, that kind of stuff. I love that. Poking me.
Yeah.
Stop poking me.
Actually, I have some of that. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Here's some orc stuff.
Ready to serve. Yes, me lord. What is it? Hello. Okay. Righto. Alright. Yes, me lord. Oh, what? Now what? More work? Leave me alone. I don't want to do this. I'm not listening. Job's done.
I really like that.
Job's
I
done.
don't want to do this. That's my favorite.
I
great.
like. So you've got just your regular prompts, so that you have confirmation, right? You got the confirmation prompts. You've clicked on the unit. You get an audio, so you know that you clicked on it. I really like the fact that they decided that it would be hilarious if you clicked on something, like when you're doing RTSs, it's not uncommon to like click on a unit and think about it for a minute and go
Yep.
click on it again. You know, right? You click it multiple times, and this has annoyance reaction. So once you get to enough clicks, it gets annoyed, and this is hilarious. The first time I did it, I was like,
Yeah, it's
that's
great.
hilarious.
It's really
Good
great.
stuff.
The game also features naval combat. In fact, that's the theme of the thing. It's basically, the guy on the cover's a pirate fighting a pirate-looking
It's
orc.
called the Tides of Darkness. So,
Tides
you know,
of Darkness,
Yeah.
pretty dark. And they go a little deeper into story. The expansion was actually contracted out, and they saw a milestone build and didn't like what they were seeing, so they pulled it back in-house and cranked on it themselves. I'm sure they did way too much like crunch on this game.
Oh, they had to.
Yeah.
This was Blizzard was learning they were putting out some pretty interesting things, but the most important part was the things they were learning. And yeah, they learned that they wanted that control. They wanted to get things out, but not at the sacrifice of quality. And they'd eventually get to that point where they'd be like, okay,
Yeah.
we have a little bit of money. We can kind of sit back on our butts a little bit and make the games we want, instead of playing this, got to get it out as quick as possible.
Here's some fun trivia for you.
Give me some trivias.
One of the chief programmers of this game, his name is Andy Weir, and some of you may hear that name and go, wait, I know that name. Why do I know that name? Well, here's why you know that name. After he left Blizzard, he decided he wanted to write books, and he
Yes.
wrote The Martian,
Which
was adapted into the 2015 film directed by Ridley Scott, which is an amazing movie. Pretty crazy. Go from programming Warcraft II Tides of Darkness, and you go straight into making one of the biggest books in recent memory.
which goes to show you, it kind of when you see something like this where you have a meteoric rise of a bunch of workers, it's kind of still a small team now, so you still have the ability to open up opportunities. So people who have talent and skill, they suddenly find they have opportunities. So, success is part hard work, but it's also part luck and part, little bit of money, a little
Mm.
bit of experience,
Yep.
able to position yourself in the right spot,
Sure.
talk to the right people.
Yep. Parlay that into something new and cool. He
And
also
a
worked
lot
at
of these guys
yeah.
did just that. They,
of course they did.
took their opportunities.
He worked at AOL and Palm as well, which is kind of funny.
Oh, Palm OS or the hardware?
Palm,
I'm
I assume
assuming
the
OS.
hardware, or maybe the.
Okay.
I don't know. It doesn't say. It just says he worked at Palm. He's
Maybe he
made some
worked
other.
with Palms.
He's made some other books. I don't know what else. I have not read anything past that, but that book's amazing.
Yeah, I read that book. That was one of my lunchtime books. I read it every day at lunchtime for a short while, and man, that was a really good quick read. It's just so easy and comfortable, and the movie was pretty fun too. I liked it.
That was great.
Yeah,
I love that movie. So yeah, Warcraft II. This is where it's significant to me. The company I worked at, we were a PC builder, local PC builder. We mostly did contracts with like the colleges around and stuff like that. And but we were all gamers. Everybody there loved playing games. I was in the sales team,
Right.
but all the guys in the back and the tech guys and all that, we were always trying to come up with excuses for like, all right, everyone come over here on Saturday at whatever time. And we're not really open then, but we're going to play Warcraft. Okay, dude. So my very first time playing Warcraft, Tides of Darkness, Warcraft II rather, was with these guys. And just spent hours and hours and hours. And then that carried all the way through Diablo 1. It carried up through, oh gosh, how long were they there?
This is a very common story for people growing up. I mean, you don't see it as much. There was a lot of PC builders, a lot of people building PCs and working in different technologies, and you didn't have like a really good LAN at your home. Usually,
Right.
You may, but you probably didn't, and you certainly didn't have access to a whole bunch of people. So World of Warcraft, just like the first one, you got multiplayer, but it's a little bit better here. And man, I hope you had the opportunity to have a LAN party. If you did not, growing up to playing RTS games on a LAN party was amazing.
Yeah.
It took it to a totally different world. No longer you playing against the AIs at this time just weren't that great. They didn't even, they had trouble, just doing anything, but it's amazing what they were doing. And when you played against a human, man, that really upped the anxiety and the joy, and just it made it so much fun.
It may have been the first multiplayer PC game I played. I'm trying to think. No, that's not true. We were playing Doom and other stuff, but principle is the same, right? You had to have a LAN of some sort.
Yeah.
Offices made perfect sense for that stuff. We made our own levels. We had some guy hacked together some kind of Warcraft level creator.
Correct. This was an outside person who retro done the. I meant to put his name down here, but he like you said was not retcon. Now I'm having trouble with retro words too. Anyway, he went back, retro engineered that bad boy, and he said, you know what? We're gonna have a level editor, and so he did that. So you can map those. You can do a little map editing for Warcraft 2, and they moved forward. And I think they actually did he release it or something? Anyway, a lot of people had access to this, and that was so much fun. Playing in the LAN, creating your own maps, doing your own things. No more roads. Thank God. That's not nothing to do with the multiplayer stuff.
Don't need roads.
Yeah. You can select up to 9 units now. So now you actually feel like you got a little group, a little horde, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
You can queue some stuff up this time. No more doing every little freaking thing and hovering over, momming everything. Not to do that.
Yep.
No.
Now remember,
get some ships.
This is also very influential because what are we, a year away from Microsoft publishing the Ensemble Studios Game Age of Empires, which was basically a more historical take, right? It wasn't like magic and stuff, unless you consider the guy magic, but he's supposed to be a priest, right? But they very quickly like expanded on the concept, and then you see other games popping up. It's just like, oh, this is a genre. This is big. This is going to be big. And it wasn't even that long till we get, what was it, 98? We got StarCraft 1 and 2. StarCraft and Brood War came out the same year in 98. But this is really where the mega ball started rolling, right?
Ooh, the mega ball.
Yeah. And it was fiercely competitive because at the same time, you're getting new games by Westwood in the form of Command and Conquer games. And these two are like, just like that's choose. Where the war was. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody knew that the game mechanic of RTS, the field was wide open. So whenever this happens, you're like, oh, this game mechanic, this mix of things, this mix of base building, gathering resources, expanding, all that stuff is work. Everybody loves it. And let's find a theme that nobody's using. And AoE, that was more historical. This actually had some in some of the development areas, they had thought about doing making this more of a historical thing. That was the whole idea behind the Warcraft part. The president at that time of Blizzard thought it would be they were just throwing ideas out, spitballing. One of the things he had was he wanted to make like the gold box Dungeons and Dragons. Do you remember those?
Yeah,
this is retail days, way back in the day, where you go into a bookstore or wherever, and there would be a bunch of boxes, gold boxes of Dungeons and Dragons, and it was just all that negative space that of the gold boxes would get your eye to it, and you would go over and you'd find the one that you wanted. It was almost like little. It just drew you to it. They had the same idea. He wanted to make white boxes with Warcraft and then some kind of a name. And so now you got Warcraft, Orcs and Humans, and you got Warcraft II, Tides of Darkness. And he envisioned that you go to the retail store and be a bunch of white boxes with Warcraft really big, and then like the little subtitles and everything.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen. Instead, we got brightly colored orcs and humans. And by the way, Scott makes a really good orc. I don't know if you've seen the art he did for this week, but it's quite informative.
It's not bad.
Scott with some tusk coming out of his mouth.
I'm pretty sure that's Metzen. Okay, I'm looking at his pause screen where they're getting ready for the next objective in the campaign. Right. Going to Tolbarad, another name that's familiar to Warcraft players. Anyway,
those are lots of times the passwords, by the way.
Pretty sure Metzen was there by then, because down at the bottom I see his name.
Yeah, Metzen was here too. I think
he was drawing back then.
Yeah, I think he did some. He was doing illustration and stuff. I think he did some stuff with the first one too, right? And then they promoted him to.
It was very tail end, because when he joined Blizzard, his based on the interview I did with him, and his first job was an animator on that Superman SNES game,
right?
Which was bad, by the way. It's a terrible game.
Oh.
Not his fault.
He hated it, right? Didn't he hate all that?
He didn't like that. Yeah.
They all hated that stuff. They were all excited to be working on their own properties at Blizzard, and they wanted to get out of the business because you didn't make a lot of money. Working with a publisher. A publisher would give you so much money. You only make money off the royalties, and that meant the game had to sell a lot before you even made any money. The publishers were, just collecting the money.
Yeah.
But man. I hate they had to go through that part of it. But you may not know this about Scott. Scott, if you're listening and you don't know who Scott Johnson is, and you don't know about the freaking World of Warcraft podcast he did for how long?
16 years.
16 years.
It's a long time.
It's intimidating for me to be even here talking to Scott about Warcraft.
Well,
I know
the good news is my understanding of all the minutia around the first RTS games is very small. Like that was not my 3, maybe more so 3, but 1 and 2, super cursory knowledge. I played them a lot, but I didn't care about the story at all. 3 is when things got really crazy with the lore, and that stuff got, super interesting, and it went right into World of Warcraft, which, these are, I cannot understate or overstate is the word I mean, how impactful the series is in my own life. Given the trajectory I went on after World of Warcraft was released, it's just there's no denying the road I went on, and it's mostly because of that game.
Yeah,
and these games
all
by
of us
connection.
on the network have been at least touched in some way by Blizzard.
Oh hell yeah! Like
they touched my wallet like for years. Take it off.
There's no getting around it. Like for me, probably the high point was the BlizzCon where I got up on stage and hosted the Q&A. That was like this crazy moment of, wow. Yeah. Are you telling me all those years ago, me playing, LAN party Warcraft has ended up with me up here talking to people who build the game that I love and doing that in front of whatever there was in that room, 20,000, 26,000 people. Like that was an insane moment. And every once in a while I think about that, and it's all due to this like really passionate game that they loved making. You can tell they loved making it, and it just provided so much content and interest. I mean, I don't even know if I'm in podcasting the way I am now without it.
Oh yeah.
So it's huge. It's huge.
Huge.
Major deal for me personally. Everyone's gonna have a different take, but
Yeah.
3 comes along. Let's talk about 3 for a second.
Let's talk about 3.
3 jumps in 2003, and it sounds like this.
What kind of nightmare was that?
Okay, that was Chris.
It was
I love that line because it's just so. He got a little more gravelly with Thrall later on, but this early Thrall, I just love it. Here it is again.
What kind of nightmare was that?
It was not a nightmare, young war chief, but a vision. Follow me, and I will reveal what your future holds.
I don't know what this is all about, but I'll play along.
Yeah, we get Reign of Chaos. First game in the series, there would be not DLC, but an expansion called The Frozen Throne. These 2 things were meant to be precursors to their MMO, which they, of course, did.
Which everybody knows about.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, and Warcraft III, one of the most memorable campaigns I ever played in a game, and it made me realize that you can have RTSs don't have to just be big battle-y games. They can be personal and on the ground and have a single character focus. And I don't know, they changed the way I saw the way these stories could unfold in a PC game like this. And it's just
It was
awesome.
more RPG, right? Don't we kind of take a little more ownership of the character, not just like God handing.
Oh,
this
for
time,
sure.
right?
Yeah, so when you're moving around with Thrall here, for example, he has abilities and he levels. So you level,
Right.
and this is true in multiplayer as well. Your hero levels up, and you gain those levels by killing NPCs and fishmen or whatever. And you do that. You try to do that more than your opponent does it, and it really is it's also the basic underpinning skeletal structure of what MOBAs would be eventually.
Yes.
In fact, the entire MOBA genre does not exist without Warcraft 3 because it was built in their backyard on top of people making mods and custom maps and all of that. It's a big mistake by Blizzard, actually. If you look at it historically, they screwed up. This happened right on their watch, and they didn't care. And then all those MOBA guys left the mod scene, built their own real games. That's where Riot came from. That's where I forgot the other 2 that competed. They didn't and went out. Riot went out with League of Legends, but League of Legends doesn't exist without that kind of origin story. And that's a company.
Can you imagine if that was still under the umbrella? I mean, Warcraft is just a phenomenal success. I mean, is there anything that's even come close to making that kind of money?
I mean, they tried to parlay that into, actually take back the MOBA scene by creating Heroes of the Storm in 2014, but it was too late. Like they had lost that fight. It's unfortunate because I love that game, but it's that's why you don't see a lot of RTSs now, because the MOBA scene really took over. It's like but in a way, when you go play Warcraft 3 again, you are reminded that a lot of those MOBA ideas are just right here. That's where it came from.
Even visually, I mean, I played this for just a minute. I was like, because when I started it up, I was like, oh, it's too late for me this week, because ain't no way I can tackle this, and this is not the game I thought it was. And I instantly was like, oh, is this Dota? And I'm like, oh, that's right. This is where it came from, because it moves like it.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't play like it. But it really feels like.
I mean, in some ways it does,
right
but it's heavily modded to make it play like that. But yeah, like the Dota mods, which still exist on some servers, you can find them, are it's just primordial ooze of something that was coming. Yeah. Blizzard just missed the boat. A thing was made under their nose. And it was made by amateurs, and they used their engine to do it, and they didn't capitalize. It was a really weird thing not to take advantage of, Yeah. I don't know why they let that go, but they did.
Who knows? They did all right.
They made just fine, yeah. And by the way, this is all happening right while they're trying to launch the biggest MMO the market would ever see. Yeah. And it's never going to be topped in terms of relative size, or maybe it will one day, but not right now. It hasn't yet in its 20 years of existence.
Yeah, people, I mean, oh my God, its entire life, all we saw were people trying to step up and going, okay, this is the WoW killer.
The new WoW killer.
Yeah, I want to watch the movie about the WoW killer, and then parade all the ones that weren't the WoW killer.
Yeah, there's still, and there have been some really good attempts in more recent years. Final Fantasy XIV has made a valiant effort to be that.
Yeah,
in some periods of time, it exceeded it in its people signed up for it. I think that's switched back now. But the point is, they were so busy with this new money printing machine, where their goal, I don't know if anyone's ever heard this, but their goal initially, what Morheim promised to investors was that they figured they'd get to about 1 million players.
Right.
And that was as high. That sounded insane because EverQuest, the closest competitor to that sort of thing, the highest they had ever achieved was like 200 or 400,000 or something.
Right.
And so 1 million sounded crazy.
It does sound crazy.
And they beat that in like the first day and a half or something.
Yeah.
And before you knew it, they were at, I don't know, 12, 14 million or whatever. No one's really gotten back there yet. So, including them, they're not what they used to be in terms of numbers, but it's a 20-year-old game. What do you expect?
Oh, yeah.
But the point is, they were about to make so much money and be so busy maintaining, hiring, getting in the next thing, up in the game, all that stuff. They didn't even notice this MOBA revolution happening under
going
nose.
From hundreds of employees to thousands of employees.
Almost
right?
overnight, like effectively overnight. And in some ways that's great because it's like, wow, look at the success. Now what can we do? But in some ways it's depressing because it's part of their problem. They grew too fast. People really got way into themselves, some people,
right?
Which led to a lot of the issues they've had to deal with in the last few years. But growing pains.
Yeah, that's what happens. More money, more problems. I mean, it's a simple saying, but it's true.
Yeah.
And Warcraft III is more. It's got improved AI, much improved user interface. If you've been keeping score, just the previous entries were. The screen where you were playing at was more vertical than horizontal.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like, what was it, like not 4x3, but it was definitely more tall than it was wide because the sides were used to show a bunch of information that really was really too large.
In 1 and 2,
for what
because in 3 it's like
just,
and they almost created a 16:9 play area because 3 moved everything down to the bottom, which they probably got that idea from StarCraft because StarCraft also did that. But it's it definitely
totally
improved
different
the
look. But what a huge leap to go from. You're like, how did you go from Warcraft 2 to 3? Like you went from sprites and stuff to to 3D, and it's just a totally different move. And then you realize that there was a little game called Warcraft Adventures: Lord of the Clans, which was canceled in 96 to 98.
Yep. Did you play? So you played this week, right? Did you play that?
I found a copy of this. For years, it was not available, but we've got a copy, and I played it, and I kind of loved it.
Yeah.
Of course, now I only got to play like about an hour and a half, so it was a little ganky, but all these things that get canceled at Blizzard seem to make it pretty far before someone goes, okay, this isn't going. We've allowed you to run with it, but it's just not shaping up like we might think it is. What you're watching right now is there's no voice acting in this animation right here on this adventure, but it's very cartoony. It's very, mid 90s, late 90s cartoony animation like you'd see on TV. And you're following the story of Thrall this time. And I learned more about Thrall from this game than I ever did any of those cut scenes that you have in the first two.
Mm-hmm. There's way more story in this one for sure.
There's way more story here, and it's a point and click adventure, and those were huge until about 96, 98.
Yeah,
which time
they really wanted to make one, and you can see Samwise Didier, you can see Metzen's art. Like this smells like early Blizzard artist.
Yes,
and in a way, I think that's part of the problem. I don't know if it would look like it was part of the problem then, but to me, I look at that and this looks like some stoner scratched it on his desk. You know what I mean?
They finally got to make animation, like they probably always dreamed of. A lot of us artists and illustrators growing up during that time was probably at least some point in time said, "Ooh, I would love to animate stuff. I'd love to see my stuff, animated like I saw growing up on the TV."
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of this up until the point that you actually get into the point and click adventure part. A lot of story and before then, but I had fun. It was it was just laid back and chill. It was so much more chill than the real time strategy stuff.
People were pissed. I remember real anger then that this got canceled.
Right.
People were mad, and it maybe is the first example. Probably wasn't the first game that got canceled by Blizzard, but it's the first really public example of it. And everybody was fried. And then when they did it again with StarCraft Ghosts, and they did it with a handful of other projects, every time Blizzard canceled something, people would get pissed, which helps illustrate why this was a different kind of company, at least to the players at the time, right?
This game needed about 2 more years.
Yeah.
To finish cooking.
Just
that
wasn't baked.
That would have been way too late.
Yeah. I tend to agree.
Way too late.
Also, I think the making Thrall the focus, which makes sense to me. You know, the more and more Metzen was put in charge of like lore and stuff, he really related to that character. Like in a lot of ways, he is Thrall. But I think audiences weren't necessarily ready to root for the Horde. Like, that wouldn't be cool yet. You know,
if you play this, you're gonna be a Thrall fan. I was a big. By the time I got through with this, I was like, okay, I see what the character is meant to be instead of these little, like I said, the little cutscenes where they just kind of discuss what happened and what he's thinking and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he's great.
Thrall's
one of my favorite characters of all video game time. And if you want to see something crazy, go watch one of the more recent animatics they do for the game, cinematics, and be blown away by how that looks so different from this. Like this was almost like experimental. The problem is they went public with it, and everybody wanted to see it. Oh, this troll! Oh my gosh, chat! You have to see this troll.
So good.
This red-faced troll. Hold on.
Plenty of comedy going on.
Look at this guy.
Plenty of.
I don't know who this troll's supposed to be. There he is. Oh, I can hear him going, "What you doing, man?" I can hear
what you doing, yeah.
Oh, it's too good.
Such a red-faced troll, man. Is that not some '90s animation stuff there, man? They finally got to make the cartoon they wanted. You haven't even got past all the animatic. I mean, you haven't even got to the actual point-and-click part of it, which is hilarious.
No, yeah, the game part of it itself is a little bit more like this. Chat here, you can see this moving around. So he grabs that ladder. It's a little more what you think of one of these, right? Like
you always start locked up in these kind of things, right? He's locked up. He's got to figure out a way to get past the guard and get out, and you got to click on every freaking thing. You got to listen to the cues of what's going on, so you know what you can kind of what you got to do. It's just like I said, it was a point-and-click adventure. I thought it was good. I wish they could have finished it. I had fun.
What's this pig? There's a pig with a rocket on its back. That is stupid.
It is so stupid, but I'm telling you, it had all of that. Point-and-click adventures. The popular ones were filled with humor, and that's what this is going for.
Well, you had to, right? You had to put a little bit of that in there.
Yeah, you had to do that.
There was also Warcraft II Battle.net Edition. This came out in 1999. It was the original game and its expansion, but included online integration for Battle.net, which was popularized mostly by Diablo by that point, and StarCraft, I should say.
Oh, I took a peek at the PS1 version of Warcraft II, which was the Tides of Darkness and Beyond the Dark Portal. What was it called? The Dark Saga or something like that. Warcraft II, the Dark Saga or something like that. On the PS1 and the Saturn. I'm here to report those games are terrible on consoles.
Really bad. You know what? StarCraft also way bad on PS1.
Right.
And although you know what? StarCraft on N64 was okay.
Yeah.
That was all right. Oh, you know what I'm thinking of? Diablo 1 on PlayStation 1. Terrible.
Right. If you have an analog stick, it can kind of simulate.
Yeah.
Once you get, but I don't think it even used the analog stick. I think I was just using the D-pad and had to not the Saturn. Yeah, I think the Saturn was the D-pad as well. Yeah. Not saying they didn't make it where you could do it later. I didn't dig deep enough. I said bump that. I'd rather deal with the batch files in DOS and have to deal with this crap.
It's such a pain in the
that's
ass.
Exactly what I did. I had to go in there, adjust my settings for my sound blaster, so I had the audio right. First time I played it, it was just like.
Yeah. You know what would get a lot better though? You know what would get better real quick is people would start to get their head around how to make controllers work with RTSs. I remember specifically Halo Wars.
Right.
And it was made by, this is in the early 2000s obviously, but this was made by Ensemble, who made the original Age of Empires, and they made this Halo RTS. And Halo Wars was awesome, first of all.
Yeah.
But second of all, they started to figure out, hey, you can assign group functions to buttons and not just have to move a cursor around and hope that works like the way they did with the PS1 game. And now there are plenty of good RTSs.
Oh, there are plenty of
games
good
like that.
RTS games
that are well, and I mean that use controller in particular. Controllers work. You don't have to be.
Once we figured it out. It
Yep.
works pretty good. Also ordered a retro mouse this week because I was playing with a modern mouse when I was playing this on my DOS and it just didn't feel right. I was thinking, this needs a wire. I'm like, I'm not going to go, PS2 port, but I am going to at least get a USB one. And it's got to be wired. So that's what I ordered.
You got to
Also,
get wired, boy.
I was
Yeah.
I was a little concerned that we was gonna get some flack for doing something in Warcraft 3 because it's still is still supported even today. You can buy it on Battle.net, but they've modernized it and
Yeah, the Reforged
there's a
game
lot
is
of-
terrible, by the way.
Reforged. Yeah,
They upped the
you can play it
graphics
as
fine.
classic mode, but there's a lot of networking issues. So if you like playing multiplayer, and who wouldn't want to play multiplayer in
No, it's just a
Warcraft 3?
mess. It's a mess.
Durr.
People are still pissed about it, and they should be.
There's a whole bunch of threads on how to roll back to an older version and do it the proper way and just dump all of that BS because it's a nice visual up. There's a few little visual upgrades, but it's not, if you will, game changing. I saw the visual. I did watch the comparison video on YouTube of the original in classic mode and in the new mode, the Reforged. And sure, the grass moves. Sweet. It's some better lighting effects. All right. And the models don't look like, what's the word I'm looking for? Boxes of donkey turds, but still, it's good.
They were also supposed to
it's
add.
fine.
They were supposed to add a bunch of new redone cutscenes, stuff they just never did. And they promised it. They showed it. I was at BlizzCon. They showed up on giant screen,
right,
working cutscenes. And then I went upstairs during the press event, sat down at a press machine, and I played Warcraft 3 Reforged with those new cutscenes. And then the game comes out a year and a half later. None of that's in there.
Yeah, they didn't include a lot of stuff for some reason. I've read that a lot too. And
it pisses me
graphics,
off.
it was fine. I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal. It really, all it was a graphics upgrade, an audio upgrade, and no real gameplay upgrade. There was a few little things, but nothing really to improve the quality of life over what was already there. You broke more stuff than you fixed. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
It's still there though. Was it like $30 or something? You can order, you can get it right there.
Yeah.
Oh, if you want the first two, you can get those on Good Old Games.
Yep.
And Blizzard approves. They knew back
They're
in
cool with it.
2019.
Yeah.
They were trying to figure out a way to to get it in people's hands. And they're like, we don't want to dirty up Battle.net with this crap. And so they
which is funny because now they have the arcade section on the Battle.net, and you can get.
They do. I saw
all
that.
other
Isn't
stuff.
that weird?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, more bad decisions.
Well, that Blizzard Classics pack's pretty good. It's got Rock and Roll Racing and all that, but it's not what it could be. It could be more.
Right. Oh, but I was worried people were going to complain. It's like, oh, that's not a retro game. They're still supporting that.
Nah.
So for funsies, I did hit up ChatGPT and asked them. I asked ChatGPT, make this thing retro. So I asked ChatGPT to do the really only good thing it's good at doing. Describe Warcraft 3 gameplay in the style of a hip 90s gaming magazine. So this still feels retro, even though it came out in 2002 and 2003.
If you're going to read this, are you going to read this? Because
I can read it. Do you want to read it?
Because I need to play some music for this. Well, that's not 90s. That's not 90s at all. Let me find some 90s-ish. Hold on.
Right.
No, these are no good. Hold on.
No,
Sorry.
you need something 90s radical, dude.
Nope.
That's perfect.
That sucks too.
I'm fucking.
Oh, that's not bad.
Oh yeah, that's it.
All right, we're doing that. Here we go.
What is
Brian's
that?
90s ChatGPT review thing.
Yeah, 90s ChatGPT review from a 90s gaming magazine. Here it comes by Warcraft 3 review. Thanks to ChatGPT. Totally didn't steal this. All right, game heads. Brace yourselves for the raddest RTS ride ever. Warcraft 3, Reign of Chaos! Exclamation mark. This ain't your average base building boogie. We've got legit heroes in the mix. That's true, actually. They level up, score gnarly abilities, and tote wicked magical loot. But that's not all, dudes. You'll be venturing out on an epic treasure hunt and squaring off against creep camps. And did we mention 4 different races? Talk about strategy on steroids. This bad boy blends RPG elements and strategy like no other. It's gonna blow your mind. Guaranteed.
Whoa. Wow, that was radical that you just did. That was radical. I'm impressed.
There, I made it retro. There you go.
Yep, made it retro.
Don't give me no crap.
We've done 2003 stuff before, though. It's not a big deal.
I know, but it just felt like since we haven't done anything that's still supported to this day, I don't think we've done anything.
Well,
like
technically, it's not because they replaced it with the reforged version of the game.
that's
So,
true. That's true. Yeah,
They
we're only talking
remastered
about
it.
the other one, not the reforged one. Yeah, there you go.
Fair point.
That would've
I,
been a lot
I
easier
forgot
than
to tell you.
going
We
to talk
talked.
to
We did the
ChatGPT.
mana games not last week, week before, whatever
Yeah,
it was.
a couple weeks ago. Right.
I ended up downloading and playing on PlayStation Plus that Trials of Mana remake, 3D remake.
Yeah.
They did like a year and a half ago or whatever it was, maybe a couple years
Right.
now. I got totally hooked on that game.
Oh.
It's really good. I will say this though, some of the worst dialogue I've ever heard in my life.
Oh. So you're thinking about upgrading from just the trials? You're gonna get the full version then?
Yeah, I'll get that full version of Trials.
Yeah.
But this, I guess, the SNES game was Japanese only. Never
Right.
came out here, so this one is all new for a lot of people, and the translation's just bad.
Right.
But it's a really fun game. Looks nice, plays great.
Oh, yeah.
Little third-person 3D thing. It's great. I like it.
Radical, dude.
I'm going to talk more about
That's
it.
the
on Core.
raddest ever.
That's pretty radical, isn't it? All right. Well, that's your Warcraft look, everybody. It's now time to guess our games.
Destroy it.
And you don't have to do it. We're just going to do it to each other. You can try at home if you want, or these people in the chat if they want. That's totally fine too. But we're just going to guess each other's games based on a very short section of audio
Right.
and a tiny bit of hints. All right.
I don't try at home. Don't.
Or just try, but don't
down.
expect to win. All right. Don't expect.
Right.
So
Yeah,
Brian, I'm
we
going to
won't
start
hear
with you. Let's do this. Here's mine. This is a Super Nintendo Entertainment System video game.
Okay.
1990.
Super Famicom.
Yep,
Okay.
there you go. Super Famicom. 1995 is the year.
Oh, 95.
So in the midst of all this goings on at Blizzard, we got some console games. And this is mine. So here you go. See if you can figure it out.
Oh, that's a switch up.
Yeah, it'll switch up a bunch. I think I edited it that way. Get some sound effects here. There we go. Any
It's like
guesses?
somebody smacking somebody.
A little bit of smacking, yeah. Any guesses or questions?
Is this a first-party Nintendo title?
No, third party.
Third party. Okay. Is it?
I'll say this to help you with your hint. It is a very popular third party.
Oh, it's a very popular third party.
Yep, everyone loves the. Well, they're some of the biggest publisher developers of the time of the era.
This is all over the place, man.
It is.
I mean,
it is.
I can't tell what the crap this is. I mean, I don't think it's a platformer, but it doesn't sound like a fighter either. It sounds like some kind of adventure game or something. Is it SNES? Is it top down?
Yes. Although it kind of fakes 3/4, but it's essentially
Okay.
face down. You know, in
That
the way
answers
that
my question.
You know, like a game like Zelda: Link to the Past. You know how that's it's a locked view, but it kind of has the illusion of sort of being on a angle. It's like that.
Right. Is this in any way related to Blizzard?
No, not at all.
Okay, turn.
Thus ending your 3 questions. You must now guess.
Um,
You know what? I'll help. It's Japanese.
Okay, right.
It's not Blizzard. It's a Japanese developer.
Okay.
And,
That'll sound-
and thus endeth your help.
Endeth your help. It is
You're probably not gonna get it.
Adventure Land Chrono Time.
I would play Adventureland Chrono Time. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
But that's not what this is. This is such a cheat, dude. This is the Super Nintendo version of the game I just mentioned. This is Trials of Mana, the Japanese.
Oh my God. Oh Jesus. How am I supposed to know? Jeez, I never played that back in the day, you turd butt.
That's why I was hoping that hint would help. I was like, hey, you know that Japanese only game? Well, I played the 3D American one. Anyway, let's do this Guess My Game thing.
I was probably with nothing. It probably made it worse for me. I just totally threw that out.
Yeah, that's all right. I knew it'd be.
That's
I knew
great. That
would,
man, that thing is all over the place though. That with the
Yeah.
audio, it's like
Yeah, it's a.
wow.
Some of it is edited because I was just doing different things and thought I would shake it
Yeah,
up,
but
but
still, I mean,
it's a lot. Yeah.
it's a lot.
That game's good. It's really good. I'm shocked
Yeah,
how much
yeah.
I like it, and it's on PlayStation Plus Extra, the middle tier.
Right, yeah.
But maybe even in the basic tier. But it's very good. I highly recommend it. Let's move on now to yours, Brian. I see you got a date in the system here. What are we looking at?
We are looking at 1989 in North America on the NES.
Oh, that's the Nintendo Entertainment System.
That's not the Super.
Nope.
Not the Super.
It's just
Don't
the
get excited.
Famicom. Okay.
Nintendo.
It's the family computer. All right, let's find out what this sounds like. Well, that is definitely a NES game. Oh my gosh. All right, is it a Nintendo first-party game?
No.
Okay. It is not.
Oh, wait a minute. No. Well, I was reading something that was like, it said the people, then it said, okay, yeah, it's definitely not okay.
It's not
okay.
okay.
Well, the phrasing was weird. The phrasing was weird on the wiki.
Is it? Jeez, where do I even ask here? It's just music. Is it? Is this made by Capcom?
No.
Oh, that was a weird way of saying no. Should I read into that?
Yeah, you should read into that. No, I'm just kidding. No.
Okay. Is it? I don't know. Is it a side scroller?
No.
No.
You know, side scroll. No. Make sure I'm not thinking of another one that I looked at before I looked at this one. Make sure
I have no idea.
No, it is not.
It sounds like every NES game ever to me.
Yeah, no, doesn't it though?
Has anyone in the chat got it?
Let's see. Fetcher's Quest, no. Tecmo Baseball, no. Michael Burrier. Adventures of Lolo.
Is that it?
That's it.
It's Adventures
From
of Lolo?
Eggerland series, yes.
I've never played this at all. I don't know what that is. Hold on, let's look that up. Adventures of Lolo?
Lolo.
Adventures of Lolo. Gameplay. Let's just take a look and see.
Published by HAL Laboratories from Nintendo Entertainment Center.
Oh, damn it. And well, they're kind of, aren't they a subsidiary of Nintendo, or am I making that up? I might be making that up.
They did some stuff that was weird. So some of those places ended up being like partially purchased or picked up, and they just kind of still, so it's hard to say.
Okay. So this looks like a top-down kind of puzzly, adventure-y.
Yeah.
Almost, not Bomberman, but
it looks like Bomberman as far as if you were looking at it, you're like, oh, it's Bomberman because it's like a maze, top-down, blocks in your way. You got to walk around, got your little round person.
I love how he looks. He's got cool shape.
Yeah,
the way he animates, cool, it's good.
Yep.
This looks
like
fun.
This is top-down puzzlers.
This looks like a totally fun game. I might have to
exactly.
Check this out.
When I saw it, I was like, ooh, I think I want to play this. This is on my little
Ambernick.
I think it was on Ambernick that I saw it. Was that where I saw it the first time? I think it was.
You'd have to.
Because at first I thought it was Bomberman from the screenshot. I was like, oh, is this like a Bomberman clone? I'm like, no, that's pretty cool.
It looks like it's just go get the shit.
Go get the shit, solve the puzzles, environmental puzzles, put stuff around.
Can you reset it?
I think you can when you leave the. I think. I mean, this was a couple of weeks ago when I fired it up.
Something about this is weirdly familiar.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. They're moving now. Okay, I may have to play this. I may have to check that out on my Ambernick handheld device.
On Ambernick.
Well, there's your Guess My Game stuff. That's always a good time.
Welcome
Let's do this
to
now.
The treasure room.
All right, it's time to do emails, text, that kind of stuff. And we have a couple emails this week that came to us at playretroshow@gmail.com. That's playretroshow@gmail.com. Soon to be single wrote in and said, hey guys, love the show. Just wondering if you could answer this question for me. My wife thinks that I shouldn't be playing video games now that I'm over 50. I'm just wondering at what age should I have stopped? Please let me know so I can apologize to her. Regards, soon to be single. That's why it says soon to be single. No, you're never too. It doesn't matter. Are you too old to watch a movie? No. Well,
exactly.
You too old to read a book? It's just another medium. Just do it.
Yeah, like now, if you're just sitting around and you're eating Cheetos and you don't clean up the house and you don't do nothing and you're playing, you're watching anime and
yeah.
I don't know why I'm saying anime. and everything you're watching is cartoons and silly child stuff, then maybe you need to just expand. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with what you're watching. I'm saying maybe expand a little bit.
Just
you don't have to get rid of it.
Yeah.
But games in general, games are very mature. Games have darker themes than most of your movies and TV.
They're not for kids. This is an old idea that your wife. I'm no offense to your wife. Sure, she's a very nice person, but she has this old idea in her head. It's an old idea. It needs to go away. All right. Video games are not for kids. Cartoons are not for kids. I mean, they can be, but they can also be for you.
Yeah, that sounded funny. Cartoons aren't for kids. That's for us adults.
That's right. But it can be both. It can be all these things.
Yeah.
Like,
you're never too old you're never too old for anything. You're never too old. You're never too old to, and if you're enjoying something, I think it's fine. It makes you feel
be
young.
You. Yeah, be you. What does she like? Find out what she likes.
I've heard this. This is an argument that we hear a lot. I've been hearing it more and more over the last decade, where people are crapping on Spielberg movies like Star Wars and stuff. It's like, oh, it contributed to the infantilization of society, with their. And I'm like, because these people never grew up and read more serious work. I'm like, no.
And Brian doesn't mean Spielberg made Star Wars. He means like that era of stuff. Star Wars,
E.T.,
freaking Indiana Jones.
I did say that.
Just to stop a few emails from coming. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you're right. I was trying to say Spielberg and the like and Lucas and stuff. I didn't say
and
that
the
part.
like.
Thank you for correcting me.
Yeah.
But yeah, Spielberg did make Star Wars. Even though he did push Lucas to do it.
He did. He was really hardcore
the whole
on that.
thing.
Yeah,
But anyway,
you're right. You're right about that. He did push him. They were friends.
Right.
They lived in the same damn apartment for a long time. Anyway.
But I get the sentiment. It's like, oh, y'all should graduate to more mature, higher thinking topics and that kind of stuff. There's nothing wrong with enjoying simplified things when you're talking about entertainment. I think you can enjoy it in any way you want to.
Full agreement.
I think it's fine.
Full agreement.
I think it's fine.
I fully agree.
Are some people immature? They're going to be immature whether they're watching Star Wars or E.T. or whatever. It doesn't matter.
Right.
They're going to be immature. It doesn't matter. It's not because of the movies. We've talked about this many times. People aren't violent because of movies. People aren't immature because of movies. People are immature because they're immature.
I mean, what are you supposed to be into exclusively at your age? Hey, you can only watch procedurals on TV. That's it. That's all you get.
Yeah. You only get to watch murder.
F that noise.
You only can watch the History Channel, which isn't really history.
No, it's not.
It's fine. It's fine if you want it. Some people are going to pursue intellectual things, and some people are just going to enjoy life, and both are fine. Both are perfectly acceptable as long as you're not harming anybody. Live your life.
The big lesson is that the History Channel sucks. That's what I learned from here.
Yeah, the History Channel is not History Channel.
No,
that's always
it was. It tried to be for a hot minute. It was okay, but they made
History called and wants its name back.
They made one thing I really liked. They made that Hatfields and McCoy's miniseries.
That's pretty good.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's good.
But that's just them. It's like them being a publisher. They didn't do anything. Somebody made it and they said, "Yeah, we'll put it on our network."
Now, soon to be single. There could be a difference in your relationship and how each of you views entertainment. We have a big difference in my house. Audra she likes the murders.
She likes them murder mysteries.
I've learned to tolerate the murders, but when I'm here by myself, there is no murder.
Did you guys hear that? Brian tolerates murder. Did you hear that?
That's right. I tolerate it.
It's nice.
The murder shows.
Mark Russell wrote into the same email and says, "Hey guys, just discovered the podcast and it's awesome." Well, thank you.
All right.
Love hearing from new people.
Thanks, Mark.
Scrolled through the episode list for an obscure but amazing fun old game I played on PC called Redneck Rampage. Not sure if it's in the podcast worthiness list or not, but if you haven't played it, it's great and hilarious. Mark, I never played Redneck Rampage. I don't know enough about it.
You've never played Redneck Rampage? Nope. Okay, so that is amazing. It's not like, I can't believe you didn't play Redneck Rampage. It's more of one of those, dude, wait until you play Redneck Rampage. I loved this game so much. I played this game. Oh, it must have been you ever have a game that you play through a season? It's like, okay, from this point in time, springtime and until like fall, this is all I'm playing.
Yeah.
And it's first person redneck humor that it's great.
When did that come out? 97, late 90s, right?
It was the late, it was, we're definitely.
I think it used the Duke Nukem 3D Realms engine. I think.
Yeah,
everybody
was using these things.
Yeah.
It was Zatrix Entertainment and published by Interplay, and it's a first-person shooter game. And I went to a little bit of I went through a little bit of a deep dive one day because I loaded it back up, and there was actually some good history and trivia. I remember sucking. So here's some of the here's some expansion packs for this thing. Redneck Rampage,
Yeah.
sucking grits on Route 66.
All right.
Redneck Deer Hunting. I didn't get that one. Redneck Rampage Rides Again. I did get that one. So I missed that other one. Off-Road Redneck Racing.
Yeah.
I don't think I got that one. Now, but I did do the little demos and stuff. They had the Cuss Pack, the early years, Possum Bayou. This thing is much bigger than you think it is.
It must be, because I remember seeing it going, well, that's dumb. Never going to play that, but it sounds like I missed out. I'm watching him right now shooting. Well, you didn't shoot that cow. I kind of wish you would have now that I've seen
You're
it.
a couple of brothers, redneck brothers, and you just, you're looking for some beans, and you're trying to thwart an alien invasion, just like on the History Channel.
Yeah, that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Is get those aliens. That is the History Channel now. It's all aliens all the time. All right,
But man, thank you so much for bringing that back up, and we got to do that. We got to do a redneck.
If you want to do
Rampage
Redneck
episode.
Rampage, I would be down for it. I just don't know.
I think we need to
jack
figure
about
out a way to do it so there's like a section at Walmart during this time.
Yeah.
And it was all like deer hunter stuff and all of that, fishing, deer hunting, and Redneck Rampage. And I was like, I'm getting the Redneck Rampage.
Get that Redneck Rampage, son.
Yeah.
Get it.
Get
All
it.
right.
You want to? Hey, soon to be single?
Who?
Play
Oh,
some
that
Redneck
guy.
Rampage in front of your wife. See what she thinks about that.
See how that goes. Let us know how that goes. All right, we are pretty much done, but I do want to remind people that our next episode's coverage is going to be about the Gex series, and there's a reason why we're doing Gex, not just because we have fond feelings for the stupid lizard, or I had a 3DO, or any of that. It's because Gex is getting remade. It's getting a remaster, remake thing.
The trilogy, man.
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3.
Whether you want it or not, Gex is coming back. So we thought we'll dip back and see whether we do want it or not. Maybe we do. Maybe Gex is amazing and we've never given it enough credit. I remember really enjoying Gex 1 back in the day.
Yeah.
But Gex 1,
I enjoyed it so much. I went and I grabbed the audio clip because I was thinking about it one day. I forget when it was. It was a while back. And that was one of our Guess Our Games. And then like that next couple of days, they announced this Gex series. And so we're all, I guess, must be on the same page.
Yeah, that was weird that we mentioned it right then and then it happened. But there was even like a 4th entry that was canceled. There's a bunch of stuff you don't know. Some
a
prototypes
prototype that I can't wait to try to find for Gex Jr.
Yep.
Can't wait.
And I don't know if they were all voiced by What's His Beak or not, but we'll talk about him. Forgot his name. Though.
Right. Good old What's His Beak.
He's on.
He's the
wait,
best.
don't tell me. I can't think of his name. Ugh.
Wait, don't tell me.
Yeah, it's. He's a comedian. His name is Dana Gould. That's it.
You do this every time we talk about him.
Dana Gould. It's a hard name to remember. I don't know.
You
why
have
I
to
remember
dig it
forget
deep. Yeah.
But my brain finally pooped it out. Anyway, that'll be next week where we talk about Gex with you right here on the podcast. In the meantime, please join our Patreon over at patreon.com/playretro. You'll never get ads on that feed. You'll get play retro content every week or pre-show, I should say, on the show. You also get monthly benefits you can't get anywhere else. And once in a while, a little video will pop up like one Brian just did recently.
I'm going to be playing this Master System I talked about at the top of the show when some of those other games come in.
Oh, yeah.
You damn straight.
Anyway, that'll be all of it is over at Play Retro. What am I saying? Patreon.com/Play Retro. And all our other stuff, including links to that, can be found at our website, which you can find at frogpants.com/Play Retro. That is going to do it for us. Between now and the next time Brian and I see you, go play something retro. And we'll see you next time. Bye, Brian.
Bye, Zug Zug.
Eat a poo.
Oh, no. A bag of poo.
Oh, all right.
Box of poo?
Box of poo.
Get more at frogpants.com.
Ready to serve.
Stop poking me.
Stop poking me.